Good morning, good afternoon from everywhere that you're joining us from. Feel free to say hello in the chat and let us know where you're joining us. Great. We still don't have any activity in the chat. You can also let us know how you're feeling today using an emoji. And we're just getting started. We have quite a good number attending today. So my name is Johansen Obanda. I'm Community Engagement Manager at Crossref, and I'm joined by my colleague Evans as well. We'll be helping to answer any questions you might have in the question and answer and also in the chat. I just want to quickly remind you of our code of conduct. So we encourage you to be respectful and kind to others throughout the session. So this session is being recorded, and if you're not comfortable being on camera during the session, feel free to turn off your video. So our agenda today will start with a reminder about the importance of metadata, and then we'll demonstrate our participation reports tool, and we'll give you some time to check your participation reports. And finally, there'll be time to ask us any questions that you might have. Later on, my colleague will also be talking about metadata completeness for OJS and also answering any OJS related questions you might have. So how to use Zoom? For questions, please use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen to get your questions answered during the session. Also, please use the React function to raise your hand if you would like to share your experience in real time when the speaker invites volunteers to make a demonstration. And the session will be recorded, so if you're not comfortable being on camera, feel free to turn off your video. So today, it's myself, Johansen Obanda, and I'm calling from Kisumu, Kenya, and Evans will be covering the next session on OJS metadata completeness. Please continue introducing yourself in the chat, your name, your organization, where in the world you are right now, and an emoji about how you're feeling right now. So just to start off today, I believe most of us are Crossref members or are interested in being a member of Crossref. We're just learning about what Crossref does. So as a Crossref member, you know that you register unique DOIs for each item you publish. You also provide rich metadata record alongside this record. And the richer the metadata that you provide to us, the better. And this will be a theme throughout today's session. So rich metadata is really important to us and for making connections between records. As a Crossref member, you also display this DOI on a unique landing page for the published item. And these unique landing pages contain full bibliographic information so that the user can verify that they have been delivered to the correct item when they click the DOI. The DOI on your landing page also should be displayed as a URL so that someone visiting your website or your landing page can copy the whole item or can conclusively cite the item. Finally, on the unique landing pages, there should be an easy way to access the full text of the content. So it's acceptable for the full text to be behind a login or paywall. This is fine as long as the landing page is accessible to everyone. Just a reminder that it's not a good practice to link directly to a PDF because doing so will lead the PDF to start downloading when the DOI is clicked. So what metadata are we talking about? Although we can accept metadata records for many different types of content, let us take an example of a journal article. Basic metadata includes things like titles, date, author names, abstracts, DOIs, and location URL. But we also encourage our members to provide additional metadata, including elements like full text URLs. You can also include other or crossmark information, including updates, retractions, and corrections that will be captured by our crossmark service. Other provenance information like publishers or funder details, steward information as well is encouraged to provide. So additional metadata beyond the basic metadata is important to provide. And my colleague will talk more about that. So I want to take us to research nexus, the importance of metadata. So all these metadata elements and the relationships that I've been talking about so far form a network that we call the research nexus. And we envision it as a rich and reusable open network for relationships that connect research organizations, people, things, and actions. And why is this important? It's because all the metadata available with Crossref can be accessed using our open APIs. The REST API is relied on by a large part of the research community and beyond, seeing around 1.8 billion requests each month. And this number has tripled in the last 5 years. So our members are the heaviest users, using it for all kinds of information about their own records or picking up connections like citations and other relationships. Metadata and relationships between research objects and entities can support the whole scholarly ecosystem in many ways, including research integrity, helping to provide signals about the trustworthiness of work, including provenance information, such as who funded it. Secondly, reproducibility, because it helps others to reproduce outcomes by adding relationships between literature, data, software, protocols, and methods. Reporting and assessment is also another key importance for this, because it helps organizations such as universities, funders, and governments to track and demonstrate the outcomes of their investments. Discoverability is also a popular one because it helps people and systems to identify work through multiple angles. Registering content Crossref makes it possible for your work to be found and used, and thousands of systems use Crossref metadata. Therefore, the richer the records are, the more visibility there is likely to be of your work. Now I'm going to talk about participation reports. So we just saw in the previous section that the richer your metadata is, which means the more metadata elements you include, the more chance your content has to appear in one of the downstream tools, and therefore rich metadata increases the discoverability of your content. But it's not necessarily that easy to find how rich that is by using the APIs or looking at the XML like that. So for example, other people might find it easier to look at something a bit more visual. And that's why we created the participation reports. And these are available online and are completely open. And Evans will share with you a link to a participation report where you can already start playing around with starting to enter some organizations, and you will see a drop down of or you'll see a drop down with a list of other organizations, other possible organizations to match your request. So this is how the interface looks like. So you can look up your own organization, and then you can ask us any question that you have about what you're seeing, or essentially anything that you'd like to ask us about the report. So you can head on to participation reports in the link provided in the chat. So just start typing the name of your Crossref member organization, or if you're not a member yet, you can type the name of a journal that you know of that might be a Crossref member. Then you can click to select your organization or that organization you're interested. And then you can also maybe choose to view another organization as well and compare how you are both performing. After you've selected your desired organization, you'll see the main page of the report and information about the organization, and it will look like this. And this is an example of eLife Publications Limited. There's a lot of information on the report, so we can look at each item individually. At the top, you can see the name of the organization and also the number of items, so DOIs. You can see 11,890 total registered content items. You can also see for each of these items what percentage of the DOIs record contain these key metadata elements such as references, ORCID IDs, etc. So, for example, eLife Sciences has 97% of their content contain references, 100% contain text mining URLs. So these are the metadata elements that we consider important to make the content more useful and discoverable. And these include references, ROR and ORCID identifiers, funding information, URL for licenses and similarity check services, abstract, crossmark, if an organization uses this service, and affiliation metadata. We currently support 3 institution identifiers, ROR, Wikidata, and ISNI, and each one has a percentage displayed next to it. You can all on these on the top right, not the very top right, you can see the current content. If you toggle this part, you will see all-time current content in backfile. So right now the default, it will default to the current content usually, and then you can toggle it to have all-time content, so you can see all the content that you've registered with Crossref. So the current content will be information or like items or records published within the last 2 years, and this is the default landing page, or this is a default landing when you toggle an organization, or when you select an organization, it will show you the current content of that organization. Also, please note that not all fields should be populated for all titles. Like content published in 1960, for example, isn't going to have ORCID. And some types of publications may not have abstracts, and some back issues won't have much funding detail the further back you go, and so on. Next, you can see over here, it will default usually to journal articles, but you can toggle here and you will see other content items that this member is publishing, or you will see basically it will default to the content, or the only content, for example, that this member is publishing. So you can toggle between different content types in this part. If you publish more than one content type, you can select from a list of the available content types, such as journal articles, books, and reports, which each have different types of metadata. So for example, eLife registered different content types, and that's why you can see all of this. If you register only journal articles, for example, you only see journal articles for you in this section, or in this part. So right now you can search by title. So if your organization registered DOIs for more than one journal, you can also use this box in the middle to find the results for just one of your journals, which might be of interest to some of you. In that case, the report will show the percentage of metadata for just that title, rather than the total content for that member. And this is important, as there might be different editors depositing for each journal, and they may not all collect and include the same metadata in the deposits. Next is, once you have toggled and filtered all the sections, you will be able to see the results for the 11 metadata elements, and each item has more information button at the top here, the I, which when clicked will display an explanation of each indicator with links to more information, including what metadata is important and how it can be improved. And just in case you are doing this some other time, or cannot remember what each of these things mean, you can hover over the little I button and click the different sections to read more about why that metric is important, where to learn more, and links to the documentation and how to improve that score. All right, let us now take a look at each of the metadata elements, starting with references. This is one of the key bit of metadata to include. They're important for us to build that picture of research nexus that we were talking about earlier. ORCID IDs as well are unique identifiers for individual researchers that we saw earlier. You can also include funder registry IDs, which help to identify the organizations which funded the research, which is really useful context for researchers when they're reading an article. You might also want to add in the specific funding award numbers. You also have the option of adding crossmark information. Crossmark is a service that we offer to help our members register metadata to indicate how current an item or content is, and whether it has been updated in some way, corrected or retracted. You can also add in special URLs. If you are comfortable with researchers doing text and data mining across your content, but you might want to have a public URL with specific permissions. For example, you can add the license URLs to make it clear what license the content is available under, so whether it is open access, CC BY, or other license types. If you're using the similarity check service, you might want to add in URL, similarity check URLs as well. And that allows the team to index your content and include it in the authenticate database. You can also include your abstract in your metadata, and finally, there's affiliations and raw IDs to help you identify which institutions your authors are affiliated with. So that was a quick description of which metadata fields in the participation report. So I believe that you've had a chance to go through participation report, your own organization's participation report. And just before I give it over to Evans, I just want to talk about filling in the gaps in your metadata or your content metadata. So today we're going to be focusing on OJS. So if you're using OJS platform, then yeah, this is where we're going to be. You're using OJS, you're using PKP's OJS Crossref XML plugin. This is what you're going to be using to compute your metadata. In the future, you need to make sure that you include these metadata elements in your future DOI registrations. And for Crossref OJS plugin, for the existing records right now, what is important to do is to go into the relevant article and publish it and add the missing element, save and republish it. Yeah, so I'll skip talking about updating in bulk for today unless anyone has a question around updating in bulk. But I will stop my presentation right now and invite Evans to share your presentation.
Thank you, Banda. Welcome, everyone. I'm here to guide you on how to update your metadata through OJS. My focus is going to be specifically on OJS because there's much that can be done with OJS, right? I hope you can view my screen. Banda, please confirm.
Yes.
Now, there's a question on the Q&A box from an attendee here, and I don't know if it's a he or she, and they've said that their journal is at 0. It's almost at 0%. In that case, when they look at the participation reports, and I'm here to assist you understand. I think throughout my presentation, you'll be able to understand how you can improve this if you're using OJS specifically. Now, my presentation will be on the OJS DOI plugin specifically and how you can link it to Crossref. And if you've linked it to Crossref, then how we can assist you improve your metadata based on the participation reports scores that you've seen for your specific journal. Now, the very basic of it, the very first thing that I'll dive in is to guide you on how to set up the DOI plugin. And this is maybe for some of our new members who are having difficulty in setting up their plugin. This is a very common question that we get in support on how am I going to set up my plugin, how can I improve my metadata and all that. So the very first thing is in your OJS instance, you need to go to the settings dashboard, that is your backend of your OJS platform, and navigate to plugins. Once you click on websites and other settings, then you go to plugins. Under plugins, there are two very specific plugins that you must install for you to be able to make automatic metadata deposits to Crossref. And in this case, I must specify that I'm covering OJS 3.3 in this case scenario because it's the one that majority of our members are still on. And there's some relatable content that we can get, as much as right now we have 3.4. And I think in the next coming few weeks, we're going to have OJS 3.5. I'm sure some of the knowledge we're going to cover through this OJS 3.3 will be good enough for you to improve your metadata, irrespective of the version or JS version you're in. So once you're here at the plugin settings, so plugin tab, then you need to look for the DOI plugin, and this is found under the public identifier plugins. You need to install that and also have the checkbox marked. At the same time, you also need to navigate and look for the Crossref XML export plugin, and also you need to check that. You need to check that box. Now, once you've done that, we again now move to how to configure both of those plugins. And in this case, to configure the Crossref XML plugin, you need to navigate to the tools, and this is on the bottom left part of your backend interface in your JS. And once you're there, go to tools, and then you need to look for the Crossref XML export plugin on the list of the tools that will be displayed there, and you need to click it. Once you click it, here's the first interface you're going to have on your screen. And here, the most important thing is you'll be required to put your depositor name. In this case, it can be the name of the technical contact in your journal. It can be the name of your editor. This has to be the person who is in charge of making those deposits. And also in this case, again, you need to include your depositor email. In most cases, depositor email, I've seen people include, in most cases, the email of the journal. Others do prefer to include their personal emails, and that is very okay. Now, on this second bit here, it's very important to note that you'll be required to input your Crossref username. Now, majority of our new members, actually majority of OJS members who are OJS users who are Crossref members, they are on user credentials. There's a difference between role credential and user credential. Now, OJS requires, I think these recent versions of OJS require our members to be on user credentials. And in that case, your user credentials includes the email that Crossref assigned to you as your username at the time of registration. So in this case, I'm going to use support@crossref.org. And then we always encourage our members to include the role part of their username. For example, if you belong to, let's say you belong to MIT, your institution is MIT, and your username has been abbreviated as MIT, then you can write support@crossref.org/MIT. We always include that because lack of inclusion of your role in most cases might lead to you receiving some deposit error. And in that case, it might be the 401 error. Now, so once you've included your email with the / and your role that you currently have, then you include the correct password that you set when you joined Crossref, right? This is the deposit credentials that you are given, that is the username, and also you are sent a password reset email. So the password you set at that point is what you should include here. Now, there's a checkbox down here that says, I'm going to magnify that a bit. There's this, at the very bottom of the page, you're going to see this checkbox, the checkbox option that you need to check here. And this is the option that will enable you to make automatic DOI deposits to Crossref. So whenever you're filling this information here on the XML export plugin, please make sure you check the very first option here on enabling automatic deposits. There's another second option down here, and this option allows you to connect your deposits to our sandbox. I will encourage us not to check this box unless you have a test account set up with Crossref and you really wish to utilize our sandbox facility. Then please do not check this box, because in most cases you find that you don't have a test account and you check this box, then your deposits, in most of the case, they'll fail, they'll not be successful. Now, we've already now set up the XML export plugin. Now we need to check that our DOI plugin is well set up, is well configured. Remember at the beginning, I said there are two plugins that we're going for, the DOI plugin and the Crossref XML plugin. So the Crossref XML plugin has been covered. And in this case, we are talking about the DOI plugin. So in this case, the DOI plugin, once you go to it under settings again, the most important thing here is you'll be asked you'll need to direct the plugin on what specifically you want to register DOIs for. In most cases, I think I'll talk about cases I've seen in support. Most of our members, a huge percentage of our members, only assign DOIs to the articles, those who are on OJS platform. Some of them do assign DOIs to their issues, but this is a very small percentage. Now, galleys in OJS automatically will take the article level DOI, because in most cases in OJS, I find that our members use the galleys option to upload the full text PDF or HTML version of the specific article. So in that case, majority of our members choose articles and others choose issues. So once you're done with that, please go with the preference that you'd like for your journal, be it the article, be it the issue. Check either of the box or both of them. And then down here, you need to include your assigned DOI prefix. In that case, for example, the one that we use internally for Crossref is 10.555. So in your case, if it is 10.1111, because it's either 4 digits, it's usually 10 dot with 4 or 5 digits. Please make sure you include that here without including any other form of character, be it a / or anything else. Please just include your prefix plainly, only your prefix in this case. So once you're done there, save the settings, save that. Below down here, you're going to get options on how you want your DOI to be, your DOI suffix to look like. There's automatic construction of your suffix, and that is what we usually encourage our members to choose, because number one is DOIs need to be opaque. The suffixes need to be opaque. We don't encourage our members to go with a pattern like including your issue number, your volume number, and the publication date and the year as part of your DOI suffix. So in that case, the best practice is to always have that be automated and random. So once you've done that, then save that, and you're good to have automatic deposits made to us from your OJS instance.
Evans, I'm just a little bit. Yeah, so I think we have 2 questions or 2 hands raised, Hamza and Tape. Maybe we can keep questions towards the end after Evans has finished. Can be allowed to speak, and then you can continue sharing any questions you have on the Q&A. Great, thank you.
All right, I will address all the OJS specific questions at the end of my presentation, so please keep them coming on through. So far, I see we have about 4 in there. Now, here's a case scenario, and the good thing with OJS is some of the operations that are done there, they're interrelatable. So in this case, I'll pick a case scenario where your platform is already being ran under OJS. And there are some articles that you had published, right? There's some articles that you had published before being a Crossref member. And at this point, you want to assign DOIs to those specific articles that were published before you join Crossref to become a Crossref member. Now, this is, again, another very common question that we usually receive at Crossref. Now, I have to state that what I'm about to guide you through at this moment is, number one, how to assign DOI to your previously published content that did not have DOI. And secondly, it's going to cover the specifics on how to, maybe you have already an article that has been published and you want to improve the metadata that we have registered for that article. So in this case, you want to provide rich metadata for an article that has already published. These are the steps that they are almost the similar steps that we're going to cover, and I'll be able to guide you through that. So the very first bit here is, yes, you need to go to your backend under submissions tab and also look for all the published articles in the OJS are under the archives option, archives tab here, because they've already been published. So you need to find your way there to the archives tab and click that. And here you can use the search button to look for the specific article that you want to either add the DOI to it or you want to update its metadata, right? For instance, you've published an article and in that article already has an abstract, but it lacks reference metadata, it lacks funding metadata and all that. So this is the very first step. Look for that specific article here under the archives. Once you found the article, in this case, this is my article that I'm going to work with, you need to click the view option that has been highlighted here in yellow. And then once you view it, then you need to, the first option is always the workflow. So you don't need the workflow at this point because that was part of the editorial events that you did for that article. So in this case, it's not required. We need to go to the publication tab in this instance. You need to click that. And once you click that, now here are the various metadata elements that you can add. So you'll be redirected to this page. In this case, remember my case scenario number 1 is I want to add a DOI to a published article that does not have a DOI. So in this case, I'm going to click on identifiers for me to be able to be directed to that bit. Now, let's say case scenario number 2 is I want to add affiliation metadata. I want to add OKID, I want to add ROR, and any other metadata that concerns the author of that article. Then I can click the first option here on the second option here on contributors. Now, case scenario 3, my published article has already a DOI but does not have an abstract. Then I will go with the first option here on my left, which is the title and abstract. And here I will come down here under the abstract section here, and I will paste my abstract here and save it down. So let me continue with my case scenario 1, and then we will come back again and talk about the other case scenarios. So I want to add a DOI to a published article. I'll click identifiers. And then very importantly, you cannot make any modifications to an already published article while it's still published. So we need to unpublish that specific article. And in this case, on the top right part of your interface, you're going to see this option of unpublish that specific article. If you click that, then you're going to get this prompt to confirm that. Once you have that confirmed, then you will come here and click the assign option, assign DOI option. This will work only if you allowed for automatic suffix generation in this case. If you did not allow for automatic and you preferred to have manual, then you're going to be given an option here to type in the DOI that you wish to include for this specific article. Now, so once you've assigned that, click assigned, then an automatic DOI is going to be constructed there and it will appear. Then you need to click save. And once you're done, our main objective was to include the DOI. We've saved our modifications. Then we can hit schedule for publication because we want to republish the article that we've just unpublished. Now, importantly, I think majority of us in this call are well experienced in OJS, but for some of us who might have less experience, it's important to note that if the issue where this article is included, if the issue has already been published, then once you hit schedule for publication, then this article is automatically going to be republished again. Now, I have covered that specific bit. Please remember that my main focus here was adding a DOI, but again, if you want to add any other specific metadata element that I'm going to cover in my next presentation, then you have to follow the steps that I've included. Number one, go to submissions, identify where the submission is in the archive section, click view and publish it, go to the specific metadata element you want to add, be it abstracts, be it funding metadata, be it DOI, be it license URL and all that, and include that, save, always ensure that any changes you make, you save. And then once you've saved and you're sure that you've done what you really wanted, then you come back here and schedule that article back for publication. So that's the general metadata update steps that are involved in OJS. Now, from here, I'm going to talk about how to add specific elements that my colleague Ubanda covered in the participation reports that he talked about earlier on. Now, the most important thing here is the more metadata you provide to us, as Ubanda talked about in the research nexus, the rich metadata you give us, the better it is for the discoverability, usability of the DOI that you have registered of the metadata that you've registered with us. Now, again, here's a bullet point that will talk about how to unpublish that article. All these steps are the ones that I've described above in my previous section. Now, again, it's important to note that once you have made an update, let's say you want to update your abstract, or you've already updated your funding metadata, your license, your SIMCheck URL, please note that it might take up to 24 hours. Yeah, it may take up to 24 hours for our systems to be fully synced and for that information to appear in your participation report. So don't be alarmed when you're done with your metadata update and in that instance you go back to your participation reports and you don't see that reflect. Please give that 24 hours. So here's a case scenario. Please allow me, I'll continue again with my case examples with OJS 3.3. And in this case, you've come to the participation reports and you've checked your journal and you've seen that you're not supplying us with a good, your whole references that you've registered that you have in your published content. So your metadata, maybe for instance, has only about 39% of those references for your published content. How do you improve that specifically in OJS? So in that case, our focus being references, you need to go to, again, the backend of your OJS, that is the admin section of it, and then navigate to settings. Under settings, you're going to get the workflow. Under workflow, you need to navigate to the metadata option under the workflow settings. And in there, you're going to get the reference option. You need to enable reference metadata being sent to Crossref as part of your usual DOI metadata registration. And it is recommended, again, to reduce toil on your end as the editor or as the publisher. It's usually recommended that you go with the second option, where you request the author to provide these references when they submit their article to your journal. Now, there are other instances where you don't require the author to do that. You can do it on your end. And then there's another option where you can let the author submit the reference just before you accept their manuscript. So please make sure that this option is checked on the enabled reference metadata. So once that is done, go back again, all the processes we've talked about, find the specific article you want to improve on, the metadata, and publish it. Come here to the options available to improve the metadata, come specifically to references, and paste all your references here, and then save that. Important to note, we do have a reference linking plugin in OJS also. The importance, the reference linking plugin, the importance of it is once you paste your references in as part of this, as part of the metadata you want to register with Crossref, then this reference linking plugin is going to automatically check our APIs and try to match that reference you've provided to its correct registered DOI, and it's going to include that specific article's DOI at the end of your reference. And this is important, again, in discoverability, reproducibility, and all that of the article registered. So this is very important. Please remember to also configure your reference linking plugin when you are checking your metadata updates when you want to improve them. Now, here's a second option where you want to improve author metadata, the contributor metadata. In this case, we're talking about ORCID IDs, we're talking about affiliations. Where is this author coming from? What are the role IDs? And in that case, you're going to come to specific section here under the contributors still of that specific article that you want to improve its metadata. Click edit here, the edit option under the specific author that you want to improve that for. So for in this instance, we're going to include the ORCID ID and affiliations and role for Amanda Battle, who is one of our authors. And in that case, once you click edit, you'll be able to include their ORCID ID here on this section. And then all this is enabled through the ORCID plugin that is available again in the OJS plugin store. So please also have that enabled, because it's important in authenticating the ORCID IDs that you provide. And that is, by authenticating, I mean having the green ORCID tick sign badge against the ORCID IDs that you provide. So that is very important. Now, again, under Amanda Battle, we want to add affiliations. And in this case, we come here to this option of affiliations and search the institution name. For example, let's say the Amanda Battle is currently affiliated to Harvard University. So you will come down here under search ror.org and start typing Harvard University, and it's going to bring you the ROR ID for that specific institution, and you're going again to have that saved. Now, in that case, here is a case example where we have Universitas Indonesia, and once you search that and you click that you really want the role ID for Universitas Indonesia, then you're going to have this output coming out, including the role ID. Once you have that again, please ensure that you save that. Now, about funding metadata, again, it's all the same. Your funding metadata is at 0% or 10%. You want to improve it again to 100. Please remember, there is the funding metadata plugin in OJS that you can use. Once you install it, then you should be able to come here again to the interface, the backend interface of your published article or the article that you're about to publish. Click the very last option on funding metadata, and then you can click add funder information, and that is on the top right corner of your interface. This is what you're going to get, and here you're going to add the funder name and identification of that specific funder, as well as grant number. Now, this has changed. You are going to see more updates that are going to come on this part, because Crossref has adopted the use of role IDs as funder identifiers. So again, this you're going to see there's already a communication. Obanda, if you can include the link to the blog post that Amanda French published in the section, so that our members can be able to follow what I'm saying. Now, you want, again, to improve on your Crossmark. Unfortunately, Crossmark does not have a plugin currently in OJS, but I understand that there are several options that are being explored by third-party developers to have this developed. But however, if you decide to do this, then to include Crossmark in your OJS instance, then you'll have to do it manually. And here, by manual, saying manually, I mean you have to create a policy page with a DOI. Then you'll have to deposit Crossmark metadata to us, and that Crossmark metadata, you'll have to be well acquainted on how to construct XML files, and because we only accept Crossmark metadata through XML file deposits. So you can do that manually, and all that deposit your metadata, add Crossref DOI and HTML pages to your PDF, and also your full text, that is the HTML, and also apply the Crossmark button. I must mention that this is quite complicated, so some good expertise will be required on your end to do this. Same applies for license URLs. For instance, you've published an article and you'd like to include the license under which that article has been published, then the very first thing is you need to choose your journal license. And in this instance, to choose the overall journal license, you come to settings, then you go to distribution. And then, for instance, if you're publishing under CC 4.0, then you select that and you save. And then once you've done that, that license that you've selected under your settings is automatically going to be applied in all the articles that you publish with us. You publish in your OJS instance, and that piece of metadata, again, of the license information is going to be sent to Crossref on automatic deposits that we will be receiving. Now, if the license of a specific article you've published is different and it's not 4.0, you can override that and include the correct license on this bit here, and then you can save that metadata. Abstract is the last bit that I'm going to cover. And in this case, you want to improve your abstracts. Maybe you're at 10%, 15%, or 42% at that case. Then the process is still this very, very same. Find the specific article in your OJS instance. Come here to the very first option where you have the title and abstract. And then under this, and on the bottom part here where you have the abstract, please paste your abstract there and then save. Once you've saved, follow again the same process of republishing that paper, and it is going to reflect. Now, I've covered various elements. I know some of them I might have covered with haste, but please note that every metadata element that you include here and you hit save and you schedule for publication, if your OJS instance you've allowed for automatic deposits, then any change you make to a specific article is going to reinitiate a metadata update automatic that you really don't have to get your hands on and make it happen. So all this, be it your abstract improving, funding, license, other affiliations, and all that, once you include that information and save, then your OJS instance is automatically going to send that information back to Crossref and update and overwrite. Actually, it's going to overwrite your previously registered metadata information with the new one that you are supplying us at that point. Now, that I've come to the end of my presentation, and here maybe you have any further question or you want more clarity. We have our documentation here. We have our community forum where you can ask any question, and you can contact us directly at support.crossref.org. I think I will now try answer. Thank you, Muge, for joining and addressing the questions in the webinar. Thank you very much. So I will try see if there are any questions that are yet to be answered. So Pascal is asking about. So Pascal, I think I've seen your comment here, your question here. Please, as much as you have enabled all these plugins, you say you've enabled the reference plugin, you've enabled the ORCID and affiliations. I think as much as you've enabled them, please make sure that you go back to those articles, the backend of it, and make sure that you've included that piece of metadata information. All right. So please make sure that you have, if you enable the ORCID IDs plugin, please go back to the contributor information and make sure that you include the ORCID ID of that specific author. And then if it's references, make sure that you've included references for that specific article. And once you hit save, then the update is going to happen on our end. Now, there's another question from David. Does the depositor name have to be a person? No, doesn't have to be a person. You can include your institution. You can say, for instance, if it is, let's say, David Institute that is sending us that metadata, you can include David Institute of Research and that. I believe I've answered your question well. And then I think there's another question here from Ahmed. Ahmed is asking why it isn't good to add volume number year information to a DOI. David, I think this is not the case. It is allowed for you to, actually, we encourage our members to send us volume level information, publication dates of your article, when was your article published. And so this information will be contained in your issue tab where you've created an issue for the articles that you're publishing. So all this information is going to, if you're on an OJS instance, is going again to be automatically included as part of the metadata that is sent to Crossref. So it is, we haven't said that it's not a good idea. Actually, it's a very good idea, right? Because it's part of rich metadata. What I said earlier on, I think you might have had a confusion. What I said earlier on was I tried to discourage on issue level DOIs, because I said some of our members usually register those DOIs, some of our members don't. It is not mandatory for you to register your issue level DOI, but if your journal policy requires you to register issue level DOI, please go ahead and register that issue level DOI by ticking that box on the articles that you want or the content that you want to be assigned to have DOI assigned to. All right. All right, we have another question here from Lucia. Can you define which files are run to similarity check? My experience is that all submission files are run through it, which is incorrect. And how do you deposit the similarity results in Crossref, if I have understood correctly? I think this is what my colleague Obanda covered about. There are two options that as an OJS user, you can decide to update your similarity check metadata. And in that instance, the first one is to always include your full text content as part of your galley when you're publishing your content. Through that, once you include your full text, maybe for example, a full text PDF as part of your galley records, then that galley record is going to have a URL that is going to be sent automatically to Crossref by your OJS instance. The other option is, Obanda, if you might paste for us that link that talks about web deposit form here, you can be able to generate a CSV tab delimited file of where the first column of it you're having your DOIs, and in the subsequent second column you're having the full text URLs against each of your respective DOIs in the first column. If you prepare that CSV file, you can deposit that as a supplementary metadata via our deposit form. I believe my colleague Obanda will share the documentation on that shortly. Now, we have 3 minutes. I am not sure if I'm going to cover all your questions, but I will try do that the much I can within these 3 minutes. There's a colleague here. Muhammad has talked about reference linking plugin, but when I update my reference, I don't see option to update with DOIs. Now, Muhammad, this is automatic. Once you've enabled your reference linking plugin and you've included your references as part of your metadata in the article metadata information in your backend, you've saved that, then the linking part is going to be automatic. When I think I can't really give a specific time frame, but within a short time frame, your OJS instance will be able to have contact with our APIs and have those DOIs included as part of your references. If again I don't get to answer your question, please write to us at support at crossref.org or the community forum, and I'll be able to our team is going to be able to assist you. There's again another question here from Nduke Felix. Please write to us. You're saying that you've been depositing your articles to Crossref, but they've been failing. Please write to support at crossref.org, and we're going to assist you on this and determine what might be the issue why your deposits are failing. I think I'll go to the very last one, Abdelali, and try answer you. We have 5 journals under the same organization. We want to separate deposit for all. Can I create separate plugin for all? Now, my colleague Muge, can you unmute please and answer this if you're able? Muge, you're there? Okay, I think there she is. Yes.
Thanks for permission. I couldn't catch the question. Could you?
So I want you to guide this member. This member has 5 journals. And I want you to kind of guide them on how they can have different instances of OJS under one installation, because I know that's possible.
Oh, yes. So let me open my, if you have the administration admin authorities, then you can go to your administration menu, and then you will see hosted journals. There you can create a new journal under the journals menu.
Yes, and you can create as many as you have, be it 5, you can add those 5 journals under there.
And if you can't, you can always ask your admin to do so.
Yes, yes. So again, to emphasize on that, those are journal administrator privileges that you need to have those rights for you to be able to do that. Thank you, Muge, for that. Over to you, Banda. We are right over the time by 1 minute. If there's any question we didn't answer, please write to us either in the community forum or support@crossref.org, and we're going to assist you further on that. Over to you, Banda.
Thank you very much, Evans. Yeah, there's a lot of questions coming up, but we didn't get to answer all of the questions, but we hope that you can reach out to us through support at crossref.org, or even write or have a topic on community.crossref.org on our community forum, and we'll be able to answer to it. But thank you very much, and we hope that this session was available for your time, and we hope to meet you in another webinar. We'll be having another Crossref OJS webinar. If you'd like to get your question answered, or if you'd like to have a second review, you're welcome to join. And all the recording and the slides will also be sent to you. Great. Thank you very much, and I wish you all a great rest of your day. And thank you very much for taking your time to join us today.
Thank you, everyone.